All right.
Okay, we're live on Facebook. Welcome to everyone who's joining us from Facebook to the Wisdom Conversation, Honor Self, Honor Earth. We are about to start our Zoom conversation. And as we do that, we are welcoming everybody who's joining us. Hi, Milena and Rainier. Have I pronounced that right? Do you want to rename yourselves to tell us with your name and the country you're from, just so that we get a sense of how global our participation is today?
Okay, let's see how I do that. Rename. Hello, hello.
Hi, Anne. Rosalie from Jamaica, thank you for being here. Hi, Caroline.
Morning.
Good morning. Caroline. Hello. Oh, Tanya, welcome.
Lucky! Lucky is there! From Nepal, from Empowering Women of Nepal. You will see yourself on the presentation, Lucky.
Oh, welcome, all the way from Nepal. Thank you so much.
Hey, Lucky!
Hi!
You can unmute yourselves for a couple of minutes just before we start to say hello.
Okay.
And Elena also is there. Hi, Lucky!
Thank you for inviting me and joining on this program. It is kind of honor. This is the program of honor ourselves. So I like to honor to myself and everybody. Thank you for giving this opportunity. Nice to meet you.
You will see yourself on the presentation as well as your girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Elena is here as well.
Yes, hello, Pato. Hello, Lucky. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Elena. You are also here.
Yes, Italy. And also I can see Fafa. Hi, Fafa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Fafa is from Belgium, but she's based in Mendoza, Argentina, and is part of Mujeres a la Cumbre as well.
Oh, excellent. So I'll just ask everyone if you can manage to rename yourselves with your name and the country you're representing today. You may come from a country and be living in another country. Pick whichever one you would like. And really exciting to have people from all over. And Kelly Aburi is our pioneer influencer of South Women. She's speaking to us. She's, well, joining us from the coast of Kenya.
Yeah, let's see.
Ana Maria, welcome. Good to see you. Oh, Kelly, you're going to say something?
No, Ana Maria also is from Argentina. Hola, Ana Maria, ¿cómo estás?
Nicolette, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good afternoon.
Good morning. Great to have you.
Thank you.
Okay, Nicolette is here. Hi, Nicolette.
Hi, Mama. How are you?
Wonderful. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for asking.
Amazing. We're having some technical challenges this morning for some reason with Zoom, but it seems to be a Zoom situation.
Yeah, it was a Zoom problem. Yeah, yes. Because a colleague of mine from US had the same problem.
We all had that, but technology, love it or hate it, it happens.
Yeah.
Hi, Malcy, so great to see you.
Hi, how are you?
Wonderful. How are you today?
Yeah, very good. So
great. So I'm Zena. I am the one putting. I don't know if you're the one changing. So in the waiting room, I think someone has signed in possibly with my account. So I keep putting them in the waiting room. So
Yeah, I'm sharing screen, so I can't actually do anything more.
Okay.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
That's great.
Hi,
Hi,
Eviane.
That is weird that we can have different people with the same username.
This is the first time it's happened, actually. I think because of there seem to be some global Zoom issues. But here we are. And I think on that note, Zoom has brought us together. So let's begin. Yeah?
Good to
Great. So welcome everybody to today's Wisdom Conversations. If you wouldn't mind muting yourself. And you'll have the option to unmute as we engage with our influencers once they're done once they've shared their wisdom with us. So I'm Zaina Kanbai. I am the founder of South Women. I am born and raised in Kenya. So I am African. I am an African voice. I am also the director for South-South and Triangular Cooperation for South-South Women. And you will see how today is really about South-South cooperation, because we have a wisdom conversation in which nature is bringing people together from around the world. And in particular, from developing countries or emerging economies. And we are thrilled today because in the conversation Honor Self, Honor Earth, we make the connection between, as one of our influencers, CARA says, as we become more conscious of our impact on our environment, we become more conscious of our environment's impact on us. And so we are delighted to be able to bring that conversation to the forefront and to introduce for the first time ALIA and PATO from Kenya and from Argentina and Chile, who are doing the same thing, but in different parts of the world. And so today they come together to share as one their experiences in hiking and in mountaineering, and how that has opened up a whole new cultural avenue for their organizations. And we hope that from this, they will be able to build upon this connection and start collaborating. And maybe we'll find Kenya in Chile and Argentina in Kenya, and who knows. So just so you know a little bit about the platform that you have stepped into, South Women is an international network of conscientious women and men, because we are inclusive, from the global South, engaged in wisdom sharing and impact work throughout the world. Our wisdom conversations, this is our 13th wisdom conversation, I believe, are about creating connections across cultures through sharing authentic experiences. Our values are the foundation upon which we have built ourselves as an organization. Inclusion, we engage and involve people across a broad spectrum. Acceptance, we cultivate a space for safety and security and for everybody who participates with us to feel embraced. And honor, we do what is consciously right. We act from awareness. And because honor is so important to us as a value, we have a code of honor. And this code of honor was designed by 10 women from across the global South, different countries, different cultures, different religions, different ages. And we all aligned on this code of honor as we stand for and never deride one another. So there is no gossiping, no backbiting, none of that in our network. We respect and consider one another, their industry, profession, business, enterprise. So whatever you bring to the table, it is acknowledged and recognized. We respect the integrity of the creation of this network. Fundamentally, we speak truth, and we recognize that each of us has our truth. And so we seek to understand that truth. And this brings us to our conversation today. Honor self, honor earth. And to begin, it's my absolute pleasure to introduce CARA BRAUND, who I have had the pleasure of knowing for several months now, because we were planning on doing something like this earlier. Carla is not only a young woman, but hugely inspirational and has truly landed in the career of her dreams. She is part of the management team at an organization called Wildlife Works. And intriguingly, Wildlife Works is where carbon credit financing powers community-based conservation, landscape conservation, and helps to reduce human-wildlife conflict. So as well as operating a garment eco-factory, Wildlife Works also runs organic greenhouses, produces eco-charcoal, and all of this that they do is about employing local communities. So it's a fabulous model and an example of integration with nature, socially and economically. And also, and I think, Cara, you'll be talking about this, I hope, as you tell us a little bit about yourself, that you started all of this while you were studying lions in Tsavo in Kenya, while you were at university. So welcome, Cara, and we look forward to your presentation.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm just going to start by sharing my screen so I can show you my presentation as we go in. Thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate everyone joining from around the world, but let me just go back a little bit too far there. So thank you, Zaina, for the introduction. As Zaina said, my name is Cara, and I'm based here in Kenya. I've labeled my presentation Human Connections to Nature, and I'll just give you a little overview, first of all, of what I'll be talking about. So I'll just do a little bit about myself and then talk about why I became interested in conservation, and then how that led me to look at what my impact was on the earth and vice versa, and how that led me to something called conscious consumerism. And then I'll talk a little bit about how we can connect to nature, or connecting to nature in general. And then what can we do collectively in order to connect to nature, but also to conserve our environment. So I'll start a little bit about the story of myself. So yeah, as Zaina has said, I was born and brought up in the UK, and after university at St Andrews in Scotland, I came to Kenya, and that's where I've been for the last 11 years. And as Zaina said, I met through my work here at Wildlife Works. So I'm based in Tsavo, and our organization is committed to climate change mitigation and community empowerment through forest protection. So how did I get into conservation? Well, my interest in wildlife came from a young age, especially in human-wildlife interaction. So the picture that I'm sharing with you at the moment is a picture of two lions that I was lucky enough to see whilst I was on holiday with visiting family here in Kenya back in 1998. And it's a little bit unclear, but you can see the lion in the foreground is chewing on something. And it was actually a plastic bottle. And this is something where the world of National Geographic then in real life ended up actually being something completely different. And it really gave me a kind of a striking view of how humans can have such a negative impact on the environment and the animals that we share the environment with. So this interest in human-wildlife interaction and human-wildlife conflict actually then led me to my belief in landscape conservation and community empowerment, which is what Zaina has already mentioned. That's where my work lies now. And being in rural Kenya really opened my eyes to how nature really does provide all of the classic things of food, shelter, water, medicine, materials. And I think that sometimes in the Western world, you're really truly sheltered from the effects of climate change and loss of biodiversity. And sustainability becomes really more apparent when it comes to natural resource management. And it's not just about conserving wildlife and other biodiversity, but it's about maintaining a healthy ecosystem and making sure that there are ecosystem services. And I wanted to just talk a little bit about ecosystem services, just so we're all on the same page. And so it's really divided up into the 4 different categories. So I've borrowed this, this little diagram here. So it goes into provisioning. So that's things such as the production of food and water, regulating such as climate and disease, and then supporting, so that's nutrient cycles and oxygen production, but then also cultural, so things like spiritual and recreational benefits. So the basic for me would be the fact that we need clean air, we need carbon absorption, and then it all goes all the way through to us, needing new medicines, and those can be unlocked from nature as well. And one thing I just wanted to kind of briefly touch on, especially given our current conversations that are happening, is that during COVID or during the coronavirus pandemic, the importance of respecting nature and the importance of nature itself, I think, has become a lot more apparent. So not just the likely origins of the virus, but also the fact that when we're socializing now, it's got to be out in the open air, and we're appreciating parks, and it's much more safer to be out in nature. And it's, I think, much more appreciated now. So for me, it wasn't really the idea of conservation itself that was key, but how you can conserve wild spaces. So as Ina said, I'm lucky enough to be working at Wildlife Works, where I've been for the last 9 years. Just to give you a little bit of a brief map. Let me just, there we go. So hang on, there we go. You can see Kenya here, and then our project area is here, kind of towards the southeast part of Kenya. And then this is our project area here, and it's in the corridor between Tsavo East and Tsavo West National Parks. There we go. As Zaina mentioned, we utilize carbon financing in order to do forest protection. And then through that, we also address key focal issues with our community members. So that's access to education, to water, health, human-wildlife conflict, and then also governance. And as Zaina mentioned, we're all about job creation, because with small-scale sustainable industries like eco-charcoal and the garment factory and greenhouses, there's less people that have to be reliant on illegal bushmeat poaching or charcoal production. So there's another kind of brief slide just to show you some of the wildlife and the spaces that we're protecting. But through my work, I was then led to see what is my impact? What is my impact on the earth, and what is the earth's impact on me? And every choice that we make has an impact, especially our lifestyle choices and where we spend our money. And it started me to thinking, where was I spending my money, and what was I funding? So from food to beauty products, transport, clothes, and not just for my carbon footprint, but also for my plastic waste. So my palm oil consumption as well, and waste management. And especially for the latter, with waste management, there's a total lack of services often in rural Kenya, and it really makes you realize your impact that much more. And so going back to basics was kind of what I started to do, and realizing you really don't actually need that much. And so this kind of idea of conscious consumerism really kind of came to the foreground. And just in case anybody's not really aware, kind of the terminology of conscious consumerism, it's about focusing on making positive decisions through your purchases, so balancing some of the negative impacts that consumerism has on the planet. And we're all consumers in one way or the other, no matter our background. And it's just, if possible, if we have the tools to do so, that we can understand our impact and then how we can reduce it. So what did that mean for me? Well, first of all, it meant making quite small changes and then kind of moving into bigger changes. Originally, kind of, for example, would be becoming a conscious carnivore. So looking at where my meat came from and how it was raised, to then becoming a vegetarian. Also reducing my plastic impact. So that often actually meant using more natural products anyway from smaller businesses. So things like bamboo toothbrushes and more natural products from around the house. But the reality was that caring about the environment actually made me care more about what I was putting onto my body and what I was eating. So things like then having organic produce wherever possible, but also just buying less. So being more mindful of where something came from and how, and just as much as possible having local produce or local products. And none of this is about eco-shaming at all. This is just about the fact that I was educating myself and encouraging myself, but also at the same time educating and encouraging others on everything that I'd learned, because I was quite shocked about some of the kind of behind the scenes that goes on when it comes to a lot of the products that you buy. So it was really just about doing my best and taking on what I could. And I think that's all most of us can really do. So the terminology think globally, act locally kind of really comes to mind for me a lot of the time, because I was doing things a lot in my day-to-day life that would change my impact on my environment. But when you're thinking globally as well, it still means that then you can lend your voice and also potentially the voice of others to global change as well, through policy change and awareness. And one of the biggest ways of getting people to care and then to actually act is by connecting them to nature. And why? That's because action comes from passion, and passion comes from experience. And it doesn't always have to be a physical experience, but when you experience something, you open up your mind to new knowledge and how the world affects you. And it's important to connect to nature yourself for all of the obvious benefits, which I think are talked about quite a lot, which is things like reducing anger, reducing fear, reducing stress, lowering your blood pressure, lowering your heart rate. And that probably is a side note that actually it's all about having a bit of a positive interaction with nature that will do all of those things. Because I think if you put me somewhere near this waterhole with the elephants without the proper equipment, I would probably not have a lower heart rate at all. But yeah, so I'm always a believer that engaging youth is one of the best ways that you can enact change, although it's never too late. Inspiration can come at any age, of course, and but it is worth mentioning as well that youth often have their passion sparked by someone of an older generation as well. I know that I was. So for me, youth engagement in outdoor activities and youth experiencing nature is really, really important. So that's just a small activity that we undertake at Wildlife Works as well. I just wanted to show you a slide of some of our team members where we actively engage schools in conservation education, not just schools, but I just wanted to highlight that. We do a lot of tree planting, and at the same time, we also do visits to the Conservancy. And there's not an incredibly clear picture, but there's a picture there of some of the students pre-coronavirus who were out on a game drive in our modified vehicle to go and experience nature in its natural environment. So rather than having a negative interaction potentially in their farms during human-wildlife conflict, these students are experiencing nature in its true form and can actually appreciate it as well. So how do you connect with your local environment? So it can be in various forms, from a local park to hiking and things like that. But I just wanted to highlight a kind of, this is some older pictures again from scans from the 90s, but this is kind of to show one of my earliest forms of interaction with nature, which is local communal spaces. So you could see on the left, the pond that had been a bit used as a local dumping site, really. But we as a community came together to clear out the rubbish and to return the pond to its natural state. And that's what you can see me as I think I was about 10 in that picture, looking on at the pond once it had been rehabilitated. But there's so many ways that you can come into contact with nature. So it could be, like I said, through community work, through hiking, visiting national parks if you're able to, but otherwise just recreational grounds. So kind of one of the key questions and key comments of like, what can we do collectively to connect to nature, to engage with conservation? First of all, what I've spoken about already is about educating yourself and educating others, and become a mentor if you can as well, if you're in a position to do so. And it's about putting your time and your energy and money, if you can, into action. You can also put your voice to campaigns. You can make your environment greener, just even in your own home, in your garden, and in your local parks and things like that, and engaging in community work. But all of this, I think, is always rounded out by the fact that it's good to always engage with positivity and with open-mindedness. So one of the questions I wanted to talk to all of you about and kind of get some engagement from people is, what have you been inspired to do in your lifetime, in recent histories, even maybe since coronavirus? What have you been inspired to do to connect with nature and to engage in conservation? But just with a few closing remarks, I'm going to kind of use a slight modification of a recent quote, which is, we don't need a handful of people doing things perfectly, but we need millions of people to do things imperfectly. It means to say you can't always do everything, but you have your individual talents, which are a massive blessing to all of those around you and to the world. And you have the power to make the world a better place in your own special way, and to always be willing to learn and to teach where you can. And then I just wanted to leave with one of my favorite quotes, which is by Chief Seattle, which is, if all the beasts were gone, men would die from a great loneliness of spirit. For whatever happens to the beasts soon happens to man. All things are connected. Whatever befalls the earth befalls the sons of the earth. Thank you. I would really love to hear now, so like some people's thoughts.
Perfect. Well, I'll first ask that everyone you. Cara, you so beautifully intertwined your whole life with your life passion and your life's work, and set us up so nicely for moving into the conversation about how we connect with nature, which both Pato and Alia will do. And before we get there, Cara did ask, how do you connect with your local environment, and what have you been inspired to do to connect with your natural community? So if anybody has any answers, please share them on the chat, or feel free for the next minute to unmute your microphones and share with us.
Zaina, I'd like to put Paula Lombardo on the spot. Paula is from Jamaica, but she's done a lot of excellent work in the Cayman Islands in the Caribbean. We also have online Renee from Suriname. But I'd love either of them to talk about the excellent work they're doing. We had a Caribbean tree planting project, and they've been very active in rolling out a set of tree planting initiatives. So Paula,
yeah, I'd be glad to share a little bit, but before we talk about the tree planting project, I just wanted to thank you, Cara, for all those amazing photos. I actually lived in Kenya for a year, did environmental conservation research on behalf of Kenya Wildlife Services in Mombasa and Shimoni and Wasini Island, and you just brought me back. Even spent a week in Savo East building a school. So thank you for sharing that. So our project is kind of a regional arm of a global project to plant 1 trillion trees around the world. And regionally, we want to plant 1 million trees throughout the Caribbean. And we have individual representatives or country leaders in various Caribbean countries organizing. In the Cayman Islands, what we've done now is we've partnered with the government, with their special projects division, to specifically deal with public spaces. And an organization called DART will be donating thousands of trees, as well as trees that feed. We'll be donating thousands of fruit trees. And then we've also partnered with the Department of Education, and each school in the Cayman Islands will be given 10 trees from DART when they return to school, and that will be part of a return to school celebration for Cayman. So it's a very exciting project. For me personally.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for sharing. And if we can come back to at the end where, Cara, you can actually engage with Paula on that specifically, but Paula, yeah, fantastic project. And I think super inspiring to hear that voice from the Caribbean, and in particular the Cayman Islands, which is a space that we wouldn't really be hearing about these kinds of projects coming from. So you really, I believe, opened up our eyes to that part of the world and the kind of conservation work that's going on there. And I will bring this now to Pato. Pato is from Buenos Aires and now living in Santiago de Chile. And we met a year ago in Kenya when she was bringing a group of university students from Chile on a, adventurous exploratory mission of East Africa. And Pato is one of the founding partners of an organization called Mujeres a la Cumbre, together with Poppy and Belen, who I believe are on this chat. And she introduced us to our pioneer influencer for South-South Women, Sofia, who I believe is also in this conversation today. And Mujeres a la Cumbre is an organization that believes that mountain activities empower women, making them more aware of their strengths, their ability to live outside of their comfort zones, and to transform as a team. So she's a trekking guide, a mountaineer, and she's also a social management professional. And Pato, I believe that you have climbed several mountains in the world, but the highest of them being almost 7,000 meters. And that would have probably been somewhere in the Andes. So welcome, Pato.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Zaina, and thanks for this invitation. Actually, it's an honor for us to be here, actually, and I'm super happy to see that there is Poppy and Belen joining us. Also, we have a Kenei from Tanzania. We work together in Kilimanjaro. We have Lucky from Nepal. We have Elena from Italy, Fafa. So it's so nice to see all these women all together here, part of our dream. So let me share my screen. And also I see Sophia there. And Sophia is part of this presentation as well. She will realize why. Let me present. Always the technology is not on my side when you have to, to do it. Let me see. Can you see my screen? Okay, perfect. Thank you. So, well, as Saina said, I will try to share with you today, and bear with my English, to share with you today my own journey, my personal journey, as well as my journey with Poppy and Belen on Mujeres a la Cumbre, and to share some examples of how how connecting to mountains we see it's a way to empower women and connects cultures and enhances your inner journey. And this for me was a learning, and it keeps being a learning, a good practice. So just, well, already Saina introduced myself. I'm based currently in Chile, next to the mountains, to the Andes, but I'm from Argentina. Poppy and Belen from Mujeres a la Cumbre as well, my partners, they are based in Mendoza, just on the other side of the Andes. I can say, I like the way of Saina saying that I'm a social management professional. I like that way of saying it. I work in education, international cooperation and tourism as well. And I'm passionate about social change through the lens of social innovation and local development. I always, even working with the students in trying to promote projects with the students in communities, we always bring this lens of social innovation and local development, working within the communities. And this is what I try to do always, working with people and populations and the communities. With my partners, Poppy and Belen from Mujeres a la Cumbre, or Women to the Summit, we look towards empowering women through this connection to mountains, trekkings, nature, as Carla was sharing, and to get this truly connection with different cultures, while we promote a transformation through this inner journey. And I will be sharing some examples from my own experience on this. I always loved the mountains and walking into the nature and visiting families living from remote areas. And since high school, I was joining a group of young leaders, and I had the chance to visit and connect with families from remote areas and small populations of the south of Argentina, but also from the very north of Argentina. And I think, looking back at that moment, that was my real first tipping point in some way on how I love the contact with the mountains and the populations living on that area, their culture, their nature, the special way they connect with their environment, their context, and especially I realized on that moment at the special role of the strong women there, supporting the families. They were the pillar of the families, and you always in contact with these different communities, you can realize about the strong role of women there. And was on this journey actually that looking back now from an adult perspective, I can say, or I can assure that these components that you can see here were always present. This intersection between social innovation in order to create social impact, a real social change through the connection with different cultures, and looking forward to the women empowerment was always present. These three things, I believe I was looking always for this intersection between these three items, these three components, but always mountaineering, in my case, was like the key role here as a tool to make it possible. And I will show you on the next slides some examples of how these intersections were present on my life and on this journey. And I was happy about seeing Lucky here because she's part of my presentation, Lucky from Nepal. Another tipping point, I believe, on my life was in 2009, that thanks to my work on Ashoka Changemakers, I had the chance and the fortune to meet Lucky Chetri. She is an Ashoka fellow from Nepal. She's based in Pokhara. And I had the chance at that moment that Lucky actually founded with her two sisters a social enterprise named Three Sisters, and through Three Sisters they pioneered Empowering Women of Nepal, which is a social enterprise to support young women living in remote rural areas and training them and providing them with a whole support to become porters and mountain guides, but along with a job opportunity in the context of a culture where those jobs were only for men. And she was the first one, I believe, that starting doing this. And now she has a full big team of women that are now mountain guides and porters working in the mountains and with job opportunities, and also through that way supporting their own families. I was surprised about that, and I had the chance to visit them in Nepal, in Pokhara, and to do 2 long trekkings the first time, one around Johnson area and the other one around Annapurna. My guides were female guides, super young female guides, but I was surprised about their local and technical knowledge, and I was especially surprised of the respect shown by the guys, the men guys working on the mountains too. You were able to see a 20-year-old girl that were your female guide, mountain guide, and surrounded by men that shown a real respect to them. I was surprised about that in the middle of that context. And I was moved from listening to their own personal life stories, all strong and resilient ladies, because all of them had really difficult family situations, and they were now the pillar of their families through this job opportunity, thanks to the mountains, thanks to the tourism, thanks to the nature, and thanks to this look of opportunity that Empowering Women of Nepal gave them, and this training and support, a big support, a whole support to these ladies. And you can see here, this is Muna. She was my second guide, and this is Gita, and you will see them later on some other pictures because they were key on my personal life. After this experience in Nepal, I had my city birth, my birth town is Buenos Aires. But after this experience in the mountains in Nepal, I decided to move to Mendoza, Argentina, close to the Andes, where I met Pablo, my husband, and I studied at the guiding school to become a trekking guide. And well, yes, Zaina mentioned I submitted Aconcagua, but I submitted only once. I tried once and I submitted once, and Poppy from Mujeres a la Cumbre, she's here. She said she has like more than 20 summits on Aconcagua because she's a professional mountain guide working in Aconcagua every year. A strong woman. So as I mentioned at the beginning, I always loved mountains, its landscape and nature, but traveling, I realized that even I loved it most was when it happens in a way that you can connect with their communities, with their populations, their families that live in the mountains. And I always could see similarities between Nepal, Peru, Bolivia, our Andes, the similarities between the communities living there. This is again Muna, my female guide from Nepal. And this is in Bolivia. Also this is about the similarities that you can see on the communities, which is what I loved most when I have the chance to connect with mountaineering. And it was because of this strong connection with these people and mountains that I decided to get married in Nepal with the support of 3 sisters. That's why I'm so happy that Lucky is here. And again, you can see here, this is Gita, that she was my first female guide in 2009. And here is Lucky's sister, and here is Gita again, and Muna. She was my second female guide the second time I went there. So it's very nice to see these people surround you, and they were part of my family, especially at that time. And it's nice because you still keep the contact with them, still this a strong linkage with each other. And learning about their cultural the diversity, its context, its essence, made me stronger in some way. This taught me about the value of the essential things and reinforced the strong role of women on supporting families and local development. As I realized I saw that that big role or strong role of women in the community when I was in high school. All this journey, also this contact with cultural diversity made me realize more, reinforce this strong role of the women for the communities and their families. This is again in Nepal, and this is Gita with her first daughter, and now she has a second son. And so it was also that thanks to Mendoza, I joined Poppy and Belen as partner to found Mujeres a la Cumbre, and we seek to bring women closer to the mountains, women who would not do it alone while they walk their own path of an inner transformation and self-knowledge. What we look on our proposal is to get together women from different cultures, but also to facilitate their access to the mountains, while we promote an inner transformation, an inner journey. And Fafa is here with us. She helped us especially on this inner transformation. Maybe then she can talk later, Fafa and Rebecca. They are key working with us as a team on helping women to look inside and search for this own transformation while we walk. And again, this is a teamwork, and this is something I always try to highlight, because we complement each other. We have different roles, we have different perspectives, and it's nice to see how we can complement to go beyond what we want. And I was talking about transformation and how working together and being together we can transform each other. We believe that activities in the mountains empower women. For us, mountaineering is our way to do it, and as I mentioned before, maybe it's our tool to do it. And we believe that this way of this connection to the mountains make them more aware of their strength. And this is what happened to us being there, and this is what we try to communicate or to transmit in some way to the women. We get close to the mountain and to the nature and to this activity. The fact of being able to achieve a goal outside this comfort zone, as Zaina was mentioned at the beginning, makes them understand that it is possible to achieve all what they propose to themselves. This is a journey of transformation. We truly believe this. And most importantly is that it is about of doing it as a team. All different women from different social, religious and political conditions, different shapes, different colors. You can see there on that picture. That was when we were getting ready for our climbing to Kilimanjaro. We believe that together is possible to transform each other. And as we were mentioning before with ALIA in our conversation, preparing this wisdom conversation, we all agree that this climbing or this trekking with the connection to mountains, to nature, and to different cultures and to other women is a transformation. You are not the same when you finish that journey. And that happened to me also at the very first time I went to Nepal and I did those trekkings with the women of Three Sisters. She's a Kenai. She's here on this talk as well. She just joined us. She's from Tanzania, Africa. And she was one of our porters when we went first to Kilimanjaro in 2018. Now she became already mountain guide, and she is supporting other girls to get a job in the mountain, to study and support their families. She's like, she became, I can say, like a leader for those group of ladies. She's putting together this group of ladies. She's promoting now their own Facebook page in order to give them visibility. And these ladies work also as porters, as waiters, cook, and assistant guys. And it's a way for them to get stronger and to be empowered. But Ekene here is like, she has a key role on doing this. And in some way, we are trying to support Ekene to keep, to be empowered about this role, but also to keep being able to keep promoting this activity and this initiative she's doing for these other ladies. And it's a way for us to, in some way, to be able to support Ekene and this big movement that is starting. And I'm so happy to see how Ekene is doing this in Tanzania, ALIA in Kenya, Lucky in Nepal. But also we have Las Cholitas Escaladoras. They are based in Mendoza. I don't know if you heard about them because it was released lately a movie about them. They submitted a Aconcagua, and because of that they were more famous. But we met them in Mendoza. Here you can see Elena and Cecilia. They submitted a Aconcagua in Mendoza, but we took two group of women to La Paz, Bolivia. And we had Elena and Cecilia as our main leaders and main guides of the expedition. And we were surprised about when they told us that that was the first time they worked in the mountain as main guides and not as a porter or as a cook. They always work with their partners, their guides partners in the mountain, supporting them, but not going to the mountain as the main guide. It was the first time with us that they were having that role. And also that was the first time that they were guiding only a female group of clients in some way. For us was an experience that we, for sure, we were not the same after that experience. Was a real transformation for us and for the women that join us on that journey. And well, we are preparing our next expedition with them. And but for us, this was another tipping point, I can say. And our dream.
Sorry to interrupt. You just have 1 minute to finish up.
I'm just finishing.
Okay. Thank you.
sharing this and one key learning.
Thank you.
Our dream and our project now, and that's why I was mentioning these ladies, is to, and it's a project right now because we are gonna to make it real, is to get together these women from Bolivia, from Tanzania, from Italy. We have Elena and her group, and Lucky and hopefully Alia from Africa, to get all together, climb Aconcagua in Mendoza. This will be for sure a unique moment and of cultural exchange and empowerment and inner transformation. So this is our main goal on the upcoming year. And just I want to share with you some key learnings. Some key learnings for me on this journey, and I'm just wrapping up with this, Zaina. Just Sophia will laugh a little bit about this, but we always talk, when we talk about social innovation and local development, we always talk about empathy and how we empathize with others. Understanding that this is not just about walking in someone else's shoes, but it's first you taking off your own shoes. So this is our first, and we always with Poppy and Belen talk about empathy, the way we connect with the other. Also the way listen and observe, the way we interact with the communities, the way we try to connect with them, to connect with these people and with different cultures, is trying to listen first. It's like an observation more from the listening than from watching. Is first we listen, we make ourselves available, and then we learn. And I think this is key for everyone trying to have a real connection with and a real cultural exchange with the communities. Cooperation and collaboration is always present with, to have being an open mind without any preconception. And if you want to learn from the other person, always you have to share something about you first, to give or share something about you first. And this connection, we feel this connection with the nature, with the mountains, with mountaineering, but also with ourselves. This is like the way, the tool we have to connect with ourselves and to connect with others, and trying to find your own summit while we transform ourselves together. And with this, I just wanted to thank you, Zaina. Hope I am on time, but this was a way to share my own journey, to share our main goals at Women to the Summit or Mujeres a la Cumbre, and our main learnings in terms of connecting with mountaineering, but also with a cultural diversity as a way to empower women.
Thank you so much, Pato. It was incredible. What you did was exactly what we believe in at South Women. And you told the stories of women whose voices would probably never be heard on a platform. And so we are grateful to you and grateful to them for allowing you to demonstrate them to us in this way. Thank you so much for your presentation. And I know that everybody is acknowledging you for the incredible storytelling and the incredible work that you're doing. You and all your colleagues across the world, the whole community you brought here today. Thank you. We are going to go over time, but I do want to recognize that Alia's presentation is going to take us more into the magic of nature. So we're truly looking forward to that. And Alia, as you get your presentation together, you use a very interesting word to describe yourself, a multi-potentialite, which I absolutely love. And I think that's because you're probably very good at many, many things. You have an interest in landscape, you're passionate about healing, you're passionate about the outdoors, you're an outdoor hiker and outdoor enthusiast, but you also use your intuition to help people through their own awakening process and to help them bring their own magic into the world. And you're also the founder of what I consider the counterpart of Mujeres a la Cumbre in Kenya, which is Women Who Hike. So it is truly within the nature of South-South women, and we're so proud to be able to put you together so that you can begin to create and inspire and add value to each other's projects and approaches. So welcome, Alia. Thank you for being with us, and take us away.
So I'd like to begin, first of all, by thanking Zaina for putting this whole thing together. And of course, thanking everyone for being here on this conversation and joining us. When we had the prelude to the conversations on Wednesday, and when I met Pato for the first time, I was in complete awe as she shared the exact mirror model of what Women Who Hike actually tried to do. So I won't take much time in introducing or talking about Women Who Hike, because Women Who Hike, just like Pato's organization, also believes in empowering individuals through the outdoors. Zaina, thanks for that apt introduction. Yes, I am a multi-potentialite, a person who wears a lot of hats with a lot of interests. And there's one more thing I also consider myself to be, and that is an alchemist for bringing about change and transformation in people's lives. And one of the ways in which I love doing this is by taking people to the mountains. It's just an amazing honor watching all those slides that Pato shared about her journey. It was so refreshing, and you know, I was smiling throughout the presentation of her, so thanks for sharing that with us. So we all know the benefits of hiking. We've heard several people talk about, you know, it takes you out of your comfort zone, it, you know, reduces your stress, it promotes weight loss, you know, it sparks creativity, it builds endurance. Well, there's one thing that hiking brought to me, and that's something that not many people know about, and that is healing. So I'd like to share my own personal journey before I introduce healing through hiking with you. When I started hiking, I was at a very low point in my life. So I was lost completely, I was broken, shattered, everything in my life seemed to be going down. And it was quite contrary that somebody would suggest to me that, you know what, why don't you try climbing a mountain? And when I first encountered that mountain, it was a huge challenge. It was so difficult. I almost gave up halfway. I'm like, you know what, I can't do this. But then I thought to myself, and I'm like, you know what, if I give up halfway up, I mean, what do I have to show for myself? I can't give up on a challenge. And as I reached the summit and inched closer to the summit, I remember my eyes filling with tears and just, you know, thinking about how possible something that was earlier considered impossible was for me. And that is what Women Who Hike was actually created out of, to bring this empowering feeling to other people outside and to basically help people grow through their adventures. So mountaineering or climbing mountains for me is actually something that brings a lot of peace, a lot of healing to me. And we share this experience with other hikers on our hikes through what we know or what we call mindful hiking. So mindful hiking, if you might wonder what this is actually bringing your entire awareness on your hikes. So while you could be there, you know, aspiring to be on the summit, we ask you to hike with all 5 of your senses. Try and, you know, let your eyes wander around the summit, around the scenes, just, you know, taking the smallest of the small scenes, the largest and the most beautiful of the vistas that surround you. We ask you to hike with your sense of hearing. Listen to the sounds that surround you. Listen to your own breathing, you know, listen to how your heart is probably beating as you climb up that summit. And of course, we ask you to probably, you know, hike with your sense of feeling, touch the dirt, touch the rocks, put your hands in the water. Feel that cold breeze, that cold air that brushes against your face as you're climbing that mountain. And that is what mindful hiking is all about. Something else that Women Who Hike encourages, that I encourage people to do when they come out to the mountains, is to actually ground themselves. So many of us have heard about grounding. Grounding basically means connecting yourself with the earth. And we ask you to experience that by simply taking off your shoes and, you know, connecting with the earth, by planting your bare feet in a safe place on the grass and feeling how the grass feels underneath you. We ask you to hug trees. So we are great. I mean, I heard somebody mention a project about planting, I think, 1 million trees. And yeah, that's brilliant, because that's many, many more trees for us to go and hug out there when we go out into nature. So hugging trees is something else that we encourage, as well as a Japanese tradition known as Shinrin-yoku, which is actually forest bathing. I'm not sure many of you have heard about this, but it's about exchanging energies with the forest and letting the forest take your negativity and replace that with positive healing energy from the forest itself. So we actually promote what is known as going outside to heal what's inside, because the mountains are a great source of healing for all of us. And each and every one of us carries a mountain within us, not realizing it, not consciously, but we all have a mountain within us. And it is just like any mountain that you would climb, that you aspire to, you know, summit, that you overcome the challenges in your life, and that you realize what your personal power is, and you understand and know how resilient you are, and, you know, come to know your values and your true self on the mountain, because you have a choice of giving up that climb. No matter how hard it is at that moment, you have a choice to either give up and turn back, or you have a choice to continue treading forward towards that summit. And the same applies to your life. That no matter how hard the situation is, no matter how difficult the circumstance may be where you are, you always have a choice to either give up or to fight it through. And again, that's a learning, a very important learning that we experienced through hiking. Rather, I did through hiking. Now, facing the current times, and you know, I'm a person who's out in nature every 2 weeks, and I'm climbing and hiking every 2 weeks. But unfortunately, with COVID coming about, that has been put aside, and because of all the, you know, the curfews we've had and the inter-county lockdowns we've experienced. So going outside has been a huge challenge for me, as it has been for my fellow hikers. So we encourage people during this time of COVID to actually try and bring the outdoors in. And you might ask, and depending on where you are, you could actually bring that, the magic of the outdoors, into your own backyard, into your own room. The first thing is, if you live in a place, and I'm sure most of you, I'm hoping most of you do live in a place that has a backyard or a garden, you have half your problems sorted if that is the case, because you have ready and you know, easy access to nature. You have gardens, you've got greenery, you've got plants, you have trees. You know, spending time in nature is the best thing that you can do for yourself at the start of your day or at the end of your day. So I hope most of you who do live with a backyard and a garden are taking advantage of that, actually. The second thing is, you know, what's outside, what's inside. Take a look inside your home. Do you have green plants? Do you have pictures of nature? Do you paint? If you do, then why not paint something green that resembles nature? I'm sure all of us have windows in our homes. And how many of us have actually opened those windows and seen a tree outside? So you can easily connect to nature through that tree. And of course, many of us have heard about visualization, or the power of visualization. And if we are all okay with it, I would like to take us through a small visualization that actually would help you bring nature right where you are. So if I may ask, may we settle in our chairs, wherever we are, and put our feet on the ground, just sit up straight and close our eyes for a few minutes. So take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale, and check in with yourself in this moment. Observe how you are feeling. Keep that feeling with you right now. Take another deep breath in and exhale through your nose. And on your next inhalation, I want you to imagine yourself standing in a grassy field. Look down at your bare feet and observe how the grass feels beneath your feet. Take a deep breath in and let that sensation travel up your feet, into your heart, filling it with whatever feeling it is that you are experiencing at this moment. Now taking one more deep breath, I would like you to start looking across the field from your feet. Let your eyes travel from your feet to the plains, to the foot of the mountain that stands in front of you. This is your mountain within. This is your mountain that you choose to conquer. This is the mountain that you are going to summit. I want you to feel the breeze gently brushing your face, the crisp, fresh air in your nostrils, and a gentle smile coming up across your lips. Let your eyes wander higher towards the top of the mountains. Notice the various terrains that your eyes meet. The grasslands, the moorlands, the rocks. Let your eyes settle on the glistening snow on the top, at the summit, and let the pure white color of the snow melt into your existence. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Take your attention to that feeling or that emotion that you are experiencing now. Hold it within you. And as you take another deep breath in, imagine that entire feeling, that expression that you're experiencing, or the emotion that you're experiencing right now, turn into a huge ball of light, a color of your choice, and surround your entire body. Holding that feeling with you, take another deep breath. And as you exhale, gently and slowly, together with that emotion and that feeling that you have been holding with you and that you carry with you down the mountain, bring yourself back to the present moment, to the room you are in, feeling the warmth and the light of that emotion in your body. And when you feel ready, take a deep breath and you may open your eyes. So how did that feel? The emotion that you had at the beginning of the visualization and the one that you had after, was there a difference in the two? I'd love to hear about that. So mine was a short one, and my main aim was to make sure you understand how you can connect to nature without being actually present in nature. And that's how magical nature is. We just have to connect with it mentally, and it brings its magic to us. So I hope you've enjoyed this presentation, and thank you for joining us again.
Thanks, Alia.
Alia, what an incredible journey into the mountain within. What an incredible visualization. And to be able to do that with people from all around the world is a gift. So thank you for bringing that to us. And I did manage to stop your screen share and share mine so that people could see what you had put together in the presentation. And so really like to open the floor for the next 3 or 4 minutes to anybody who has feedback to share about today, a question for Alia, a question for Pato. We had a question from to Cara about from Lucky, asking if the connection could be made between conservation and tourism. So if you'd like to start by answering that, Cara, while anybody else prepares to unmute themselves afterwards and introduce themselves and ask their question or make their comment.
Yeah, a very interesting question, because I think that's definitely something, well, I mean, most of the time when you're engaging with nature, if you're going outside of your garden, it's essentially tourism, one shape or form, whether it's domestic tourism or if it's international. But I think the key thing is that whenever you are being a tourist and wherever you're visiting somewhere that's not your home, that you're really respectful of the nature and of the environment that you're visiting. That tourism can sometimes actually be negative on the environment and on nature if people are not mindful of their impact. So for example, sort of witnessing the aftermath of lion cubs being killed by speeding vans in the national park, or by littering, not just from the picture that I showed from back in the 90s, but even from now, where people just dispose of their waste inside a national park without actually thinking about their negative impact. So I think tourism for sure is something that will connect people to nature, but I think that it's very important, from my opinion, that when people do engage with nature whilst they're being a tourist, that they engage in a respectful way and a way that is mindful.
Thank you, Cara. But you could even do the ecotourism, or like responsible tourism, if you could aware tourists beforehand, so the people, they will really respect that. So you could even do that. I think that's.
Yeah. And there's ways of engaging as well when it comes to tourism, where you can actually experience how nature and people are interacting, not just going to visit a natural space, but actually visiting in a respectful way the communities that live in and around the wild spaces, and interacting with them and hearing their perspectives of how they interact with nature. One of the things you can do in our area is go and visit communities and learn how to make elephant dung paper, which is one of the sort of economic empowerment activities that we do. So taking something that comes from the natural environment, mixing it with something of theirs, and then using it to garner an income. And you can experience that as a tourist.
Yeah. Thank you.
I wanted to give a small comment over ALIA's conversation and presentation. My name is Aruna Varsani. I'm from same country where ALIA comes from, and I've done a couple of hikes with ALIA, and I truly enjoy the experience. So thank you, ALIA, for hosting Human Who Hikes.
Most welcome, Aruna. It's a pleasure having you. And Aruna herself has done a very amazing feat. She actually walked, I think, how many kilometers was it, Aruna, with the wild? In nature?
I've done about 12 days journey, each day walking about 35 kilometers, 30 to 35 kilometers across the Sawa jungle, where we practice anti-poaching practice.
That's an amazing job. Thanks so much for your support, Aruna.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yes, hi, my name is Ibiane Ogolo. My video is off today. I would like to add a little bit of caution to something that ALIA said. In her presentation, she had said she would encourage you to touch and to feel nature. As a scuba diver myself, where we do adventures and tourism, but underneath the water, where if I might say, only 10% of the world's population will ever get to see what we see when we go on the water. We have a policy that says, enjoy it, but live it as it is. So I would like to say that when you make presentations, you might also want to add that please don't disturb the nature. Even in trying to feel, don't break, don't trample, don't remove, don't replace. When you see an egg in a nest, please don't touch. When you see a nestling, please don't touch. You can feel, imagine. Yes, I just wanted to add that to the presentation. Beautiful presentations. Thanks for the visualization. Cara, thank you so much. ALIA, thank you so much. I think the third person is Pato. Thank you so much. Thank you, South Women, for bringing this to our consciousness and to our subconscious. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ibiane. And unless there are any other questions or comments, we will close the session for today. And to echo what Ibiane said, the work of these wisdom conversations is really a team effort. So to acknowledge Alejandra in Argentina, Marwa in Egypt, Ibiane in Nigeria, Kelly in Kenya, and some of our pioneer influencers who join us at times, including Sophia today. And thank you very much to each of the influencers who come with the spirit of the heart to share, to raise consciousness, to create an authentic space for impact, and to build upon values and virtues that are truly aligned with progress. There's not a single one of us here that doesn't believe that the way in which we carry out ourselves and enhance our own being will be the difference that we see in the world. And so let's continue to share, let's continue to exchange. Each of us has wisdom that is valuable. And let us continue to amplify voices from the global south, because we have many voices of role models from the global south who deserve to be heard, who have stories to share that will change lives. So let's continue to see you here at the Wisdom Conversations. Let's continue to hear your stories. If you know you have a story to share, this is your platform. So welcome. Thank you for being here. And I'll just leave it to now our influencers to say the final word each before we close. Alia, anything to add? Pato, Cara?
Yeah, well, Zaina, thank you. Thank you again so much for this opportunity, for getting us all together, for all your professionalism on organizing this conversation. We truly, as a team, enjoyed this preparation as well. And I'm so happy to see all this cultural diversity and different geographical locations of strong women together on today's conversation. Thank you. Truly appreciate it.
You're welcome. Our pleasure. And each one of you will be receiving an email with the recording and also an indication of how many people were on this conversation and from how many countries around the world. So I can see Rainier from Suriname. Thank you for being here. Lucky from Nepal. Patricia from Ireland. Thank you for being here. Nicolette, Ana Maria, Reza, Justo, thank you, our men. It's crucial that we have men supporting. Angela, who's in Germany, Sandra from Argentina, Elena in Italy, Paul Otieno, who's expressed his gratitude to all of the speakers via chat, Mausi from Argentina, Carol, Ruha, Elia Kenny, Zineth, and there are several others who left because, as you know, we went over time. Thank you so much. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye, Lucky. See you.
Hi. It's so nice to see you. Thank you. It's excellent. Alia, you, Cara, everybody, you did the best presentation. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Lucky, maybe we'll have your voice on one of these wisdom conversations.
Yeah, I was about to suggest.
Next time. Next time. Okay. Thank you. It's a great organization you have been creating, and I really want to congratulate you as well.
Thank you so much. And so let's keep bringing in people who will benefit from Nepal and from Asia, and just keep growing keep growing our collective consciousness together.
Yeah, wherever it is, either north or south, the mountains are same, and the situation, culture, everything, it is very similar. So we can come together to work to, raise the voice, as you said, So this is a great platform. I really love it. Thank you so much, Pato, for bringing me on this platform. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Say hi there, everybody.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ciao, Justo.
Bye, Kelly, wherever you are.
Copy, Helen. Besos. Bye, Alia.
Bye. We hope to see you soon and keep in touch.
Yeah, for sure.
And continue the amazing job you're doing.
Zaina.
Yes, we're going to organize we are